WrestleMania VIII had a disastrous main event, but on the other hand, it had my favorite piece of in-ring storytelling the WWE has ever seen. So let's talk about it. Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. This is Essence of Wrestling and today we're going to be reviewing WrestleMania VIII. One that was a really mixed bag. I've been a wrestling fan all my life, but I've only watched week in, week out ever since 2015. And I've never actually took the time to go back and watch some of the classics, to watch all the WrestleManias, to watch all the Royal Rumbles, all the Survivor Series. So in this series, I'm going to do just that. To start off this series, I am of course reviewing every single WrestleMania, and this is episode 8, or I guess WrestleMania 8. So if you want to see my thoughts on any other ones, please make sure to check out other reviews after this one. Thank you, and let's get into this. To start off WrestleMania VIII, we have Shawn Michaels versus Tito Santana, and this was a really great match. It's really funny to me that I've heard of Tito Santana, of course, just like everyone else in the past, but he never really is talked about as one of the greatest or even one of the greats. It's just someone who was there for a long time. But this guy puts on a clinic after clinic every single WrestleMania, and that's really interesting. Tito Santana might just be one of the most underappreciated legends of the WWE. And this match he would dominate. It was a really great match, as I said before. However, Shawn Michaels would come away with the win through kind of almost an accident, even though Tito Santana did dominate around 90% of the match. Then we would have the Legion of Doom, aka the Road Warriors, talking their shit. What a rush! Damn, I'm so bad at those. The reason the Legion of Doom is not on this card, which actually surprised me when I was researching first for this whole WrestleMania, like just to see all the matches, they are not on the card because apparently Hawk was under suspension. Why? I didn't dig that deep, but he was under suspension probably because of steroid use or something like that. But yeah, that's really interesting. A WrestleMania where you have the Road Warriors on your roster, but you're not using them. Really interesting stuff. Also, just as a note right here, this WrestleMania finally cut down on the amount of matches WrestleManias have. This WrestleMania only had, I think, like 8, maybe 9 matches. I'll have to double check that and put it on screen somewhere here. But yeah, it's a really interesting and good choice, if you ask me, because there's not too much fluff on here. Then we would have the Streak Watch! Undertaker versus Jake the Snake Roberts. Match 2 of the Undertaker streak. Jake Roberts would give it absolutely everything, but nothing this man did could keep the Undertaker down. It was actually a pretty good match. It was a really good match, and Jake the Snake really gave it all, but nothing kept the dead man down. What's dead may never die. Undertaker would hit the tombstone outside of the ring, and he would slowly roll Jake back into the ring, and he would still win, despite not hitting him after that tombstone on the ground, really showing how great and how destructive the tombstone really is. Really fun stuff. I really enjoyed it. It was a really great match. Again, Streak Watch, join me for next week as well. Or not even next week. I'm probably gonna upload the next WrestleMania review in like a day or two. Then we would get my personal favorite Intercontinental match of all time and my personal favorite piece of in-ring storytelling ever in the WWE, which is Roddy Piper versus Bret Hart. And this match, I mean, it's just magical to me because I remember when I was first starting to really get into wrestling, I went back, and although I say I've never seen any past WrestleManias, I've never like watched them in full, but I have seen some matches, like something that I would see on the internet or anything. And one of the matches I watched, and the match that made me fall in love with wrestling, was Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper at WrestleMania VIII. And that match, just the in-ring storytelling, because I was a kid. First things first, I'm not a native English speaker, so following actually all these storylines back in the day was really tough. My native language is Croatian, and although I did always have some consequence, I guess, of what English is, and kind of understood it, it was still pretty tough. And this match, there was no words that needed to be said. Everything was told out there in the ring. You could see Roddy Piper coming in and kind of being a babyface. He's still loved by many fans. And then you have Bret Hart, the new up-and-comer, the real babyface, the great wrestler, and Roddy Piper is hating on him. He hates him because they are cheering for him more than they cheer for Roddy Piper. And throughout this match, Rowdy, whatever he does, nothing works. And then he goes into the depths. He lets Bret Hart get into the ring. He lowers the ropes. And when Bret Hart is going to tie his shoelaces, he kicks him. He's using every single trick. And at one point, he reaches for the bell. And as he's standing there, over Bret Hart, he just looks at the crowd. The crowd that is booing him, even though they don't want to. Everybody loves Roddy Piper. He's one of the most beloved wrestlers of all time. And yet, they are booing him because they can see something is wrong with him. And he looks at them. And he realizes, what I'm doing right now, this isn't Piper. This isn't me. I'm just becoming an old man yelling at the clouds. He tosses away that damn belt. He helps Bret get up. And in like 20 seconds, he loses. And then he puts the belt around the waist of Bret Hart, signaling the passing of the torch. Really great moment, really great match. I'm getting like... I'm getting like those stuff all over my face that The Rock gets. I can't remember what the name of it is. Sorry, again, English is not my first language. Sometimes I forget words. But yeah, it's a really, really great match that will always be really close to my heart, really dear to me. And the match I go back and watch like once every month or two at the very least. Definitely a match. If you haven't seen this WrestleMania, or if you want to see some great stuff from the past, or even if you just want to see a great match, one that isn't being talked about anywhere near enough, but one that needs to be talked about more, one that many more people need to watch, because it's a true showcase of what in-ring storytelling could be when it comes to wrestling and when it comes to WWE. Really great stuff, really simple stuff at the end of the day, but really great stuff nevertheless. Lex Luger would then talk about being in a bodybuilding competition, I think. I don't really care, honestly. Then we would have the 8-man tag team match between Big Boss Man, Jim Duggan, Sergeant Slaughter, and Virgil versus the Nasty Boys, Repo Man, who I think he's Swiper from Dora. I'm not necessarily sure what the hell that guy is. And then we'd also have the Mountie Boy on the heel team. And the faces would win. And this really felt like a match just to get all of these guys on the card, because they cut down the card to make all the matches feel more, I guess, important. Then we would get Ric Flair versus Randy Savage for the WWF Championship. And this was a brilliant, and I mean brilliant match. I loved every single second of it. Great spots. It was smooth as butter. Really amazing stuff. And look, it was, again, great in-ring storytelling. Flair and Mr. Perfect used every single cheat in their arsenal. It was just so great. And then, is that Shane fucking McMahon on there? I didn't realize he started appearing on TV this early. Elizabeth would then come down to the ring to help support the Macho Man, and it actually does help. She is the crown jewel, as Dusty Rhodes said in the previous WrestleMania, and Macho Man would roll up Ric Flair to win the match. It was with a handful of tights, but he's a face, so no problemo, although that seems to be a talking point afterwards. So I really am wondering where they went with this later on. Also, fun story about this match. Bleeding was actually banned during this time from the WWF. Not sure why. I didn't know they banned it that early, but it was. But Ric Flair felt like it had to be done to fully sell the weight of this match. And the cameras actually caught him gigging, and he was fined really heavily. And again, this was a great match. Really great stuff, and that blood really did help. It really did help sell the weight of this match, how strong these guys are, how far they are willing to go. Blood just does that in like bigger matches. So yeah, really love this match. Randy Savage is your new WWF champion. Rick Martel would then go up versus Tatanka, I think that's how you say it. And yeah, Tatanka would win. Not much more to say, honestly. Money Inc. with the $1 Million Man and IRS would be up against Natural Disasters, who are Earthquake and Typhoon. And it was a decent match. I really enjoyed watching some of these gimmicks, like the Repo Man and like IRS, who is just a guy that's there to collect your taxes. It's really fun. I mean, watching back, it's really fun. If they did stuff like that nowadays, I'd be like, what are you doing? Nobody cares. But yeah, it was a pretty fun match. Decent in ring, but just watching, I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop thinking about IRS being just the guy who collects your taxes and that's it. Really, really fun stuff. Money Inc. would walk out the match, losing the money, but keeping the belts. Also a really fun thing that really goes through these early WrestleManias. Even when they were fighting for the championship, the reason all the heels always stayed in the match, or I guess most of the time, the reason they didn't get themselves disqualified or anything was because of the money. If you lose the match, you lose the money. You do keep the belt, but you lose the money. And like, we know that's not how things really worked. Of course we know. But it's just a really fun concept that I wish was being used more, because then it would make much more sense why some devilish heel who's on top would not just get themselves disqualified. Owen Hart versus Skinner would be up next, and Owen Hart would win in a minute 30 with a roll-up. This was actually the only short match, so I'm not too mad at it, although I would love to see more from Owen Hart. Sid Justice versus Hulk Hogan would be our main event, and this was a really bad match. Everything was just bad. Nothing worked. Hulk Hogan won via DQ after Harvey Wippleman interfered, but did you know that wasn't the agreed upon ending? Yeah, actually, the ending was supposed to be Papa Shango, who did come in later, but he was supposed to come into the ring earlier to cause the DQ. However, someone forgot to give him like a cue or something backstage, or he just forgot to walk out. I think the official story is that someone forgot to give him the cue. So yeah, it became just a mess and it didn't work. It was pretty bad. But hey, we got the return of the Ultimate Warrior at least. Again, thank you for watching episode 8 of this series. If you haven't watched any of my previous ones or just some of them, please make sure to check out this playlist here and make sure to watch all of them if you enjoyed this one. Thank you.